Show us what you got.
Program activated.
This week, the Marthythians have watched the film Pandorum. They've listened to the album All Killer No Filler by Sum 41, and they've partaken in Coffee Mate Vanilla Non-Dairy Creamer.
Hologram program activated.
I feel like the whole album was filler. The entire album.
The entire thing.
The entire album was just filler.
No. It had its moments. It definitely had its moments. And by moments, I mean every single song.
Every single song?
No, a lot of them sounded the same. I'll admit that. They kind of bled into the other ones.
Okay, well, it's 13 tracks, and it's 32 minutes long.
I honestly thought it was 8 tracks. I did.
Well, the intro's
like
not really long. It doesn't really count.
Right.
Pain for Pleasure, that's a bonus track as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So 11. I can get it down to 11.
11. We'll also take out maybe
Never
In Too
Wake
Deep.
Up.
Oh, no, I guess In Too Deep was fun. I don't know any of the other ones.
Well, that one got a video, so it was a single, so they needed that one. And wasn't Never Wake Up one of the heavier ones? See,
It's 49 seconds long.
That doesn't say no.
It was, though. I remember there was a heavy short one.
I Want to Never Wake Up.
It was. I enjoyed that one. Yeah.
I don't know.
You too old?
I don't understand it. I'm not too old. It came out when I was a youngster. I mean, relatively, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't that old. I don't know. It's not. It doesn't feel distinct to me. Each song does not feel distinct. I felt like I listened to the whole album, and it was could have been one song. It could have just been one tune.
It was a lot of like upbeat pop punk.
Does that not make it cohesive as a piece, though? If it all kind of flows together, nothing necessarily didn't belong in that case.
That's true. It did have a few standout moments. Like, you gotta love Fat Lip. I mean, who doesn't?
No.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Why? Why do you have to love it? Why?
Because it was a single?
It's like that nostalgia shield coming down over my face again.
Yeah, exactly.
As I rap every word.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I would pay to see that.
Oh, man, it's ugly.
Not a lot, but I would.
It's not going to... I just don't think it's an album that is going to remain a classic or known album. I don't even think they're going to remain a known band, really. I think...
To some people.
50 years from now, they'll be like... I don't know. They'll be lost. They'll be lost in bands that were just better than them at the same thing.
I don't think they're better Canadian pop punk band.
It doesn't need to be Canadian pop punk. I mean, Blink-182 will be remembered, right? Whether you like their stuff or not, Blink-182 will probably always be remembered. They pioneered the genre, arguably. Sum 41 came in and sold a lot of records because they fit the mold at the time, and then they were gone. And probably the most interesting thing that I remember about them ever being a band was that a lot of my friends who like to skateboard listened to them, and the lead singer dated Avril Lavigne. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all that's coming back.
Well, it doesn't get more Canadian than marrying Avril Lavigne, let's be honest.
Did he marry her?
I thought he did.
Yeah, I think he did.
Oh, and then she seems to like her Canadians. Yeah, she was.
At least she's keeping it in the family.
CanCon, you gotta.
Yeah, like, if they ever put out an album of duets, it would be a boon to terrestrial radio.
Definitely.
Like Sum 41, so he, as soon as he started dating Avril Lavigne, they kind of took themselves down a notch.
I didn't know they had as many albums as they did.
Yeah, we were noticing that too, and we were looking them up, and they're like, okay, they had an album this year. They're still going. They're still going. They're still touring, and then we're like, there's no way they're still touring. So we typed it in and stuff, and all of a sudden all these tour dates pop up in the States. We're like, oh, we could go see them tomorrow in like Seattle or something. It's like they're not stopping.
Of all the reasons to go to Seattle, man, somebody is there.
Definitely.
I mean, it was their first album, right?
Yeah. Well, I would say label release, because it looks like they had a couple of other shorter ones that they redid material from for All Killer.
I mean, I guess I would bet if I listened to their later albums, I'd probably enjoy them a lot more than this album.
Well, if they caught a wave with that sound, that I guess that just makes it more ironclad.
Ironclad? How?
Well, I'm agreeing with you. That's why it sounded so weird.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Because if you don't like this one, but they only mastered this sound, and that's, where they kind of wrote up, and then they were able to kind of do their own thing, maybe you would like it, because it wouldn't be the same as this stuff.
Doesn't it feel, though, like it was a gimmick from the get-go?
It did. Like, it didn't really have any content to it.
No content.
Yeah.
But it's like the band knew what the gimmick was. They went with the gimmick. It's kind of like hair metal, right? Hair metal bands had maybe a 10-year period, and then the bands within there maybe had 5 years each, and then
unless you blew up like Poison or Motley Crue or
Def people Leppard. Still remember them, but when they were really selling albums was still a very short period.
And then they're just kind of riding that, into their old age.
Less
Some of them still tour, but they only play that,
They play those.
Who knows that stuff? I mean, I don't know. That's what I feel like. Like, they're that pop punk gimmick. Derek Whibley, the lead singer, had that bleach blonde, spiky hairdo, and he's a short
baggy
little
cargo pants.
I don't know. It's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. It's like Limp Bizkit's a gimmick.
I like how you pronounce that correctly. Bizkit.
Well, do you call them Limp Bizkit?
Well, I don't know. You seem to go out of your way to pronounce it correctly.
That's what the name of the band is. I don't know. I kind of have a problem with the gimmicks. I kind of am not a fan of gimmicks in music.
You feel like you have something to say?
Well, I've been thinking it might not be good, but it still made an impact on a whole generation of people. And I know that Mitch, you can get behind that idea.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm on board for that.
And I kind of wonder, I guess, the subjective versus objective nature of good or not. Because, they have a gimmick, but obviously it did well. And at what point is your shtick, or whatever you become famous for, not just a gimmick? Like, do you have to follow a certain process? I don't know much about the guys or the album, so I don't know if, they really didn't write their own songs or play their own instruments or stuff, if they're just a front. But if they crafted all their own shit, what difference does it make, I guess?
Maybe. Yeah, that's fair to say. Maybe that's
Doesn't mean I liked it. Let me put that out there.
I did. I'm not even gonna lie. I did.
It just felt weird. It was a weird.
It doesn't mean that you liked it.
It was a weird period for me to relive. I guess. Like I kind of remember it, and I guess it was kind of when I was coming into my own as a more than a youth, but like a young adult, and. No.
It might be.
Okay.
It might be who they are. You might. You're probably right there. That's probably who those guys are.
Or at least then.
And according, probably in their language, that's probably how those rad dudes are. And I just think
they're just kids, and I think it came across just like frat punk music.
But they're still. I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know. I think some music is timeless. And that's the music I enjoy, is that it doesn't matter if the guy was 20 when he wrote that album. It doesn't matter if he was 25, 30, 35, 40. It stands the test of time.
What he's writing about stands?
It's not obvious. Yeah, well, the music in general.
Oh, okay. Because this was just dumb. This was like candy for my ears, and I felt like I had eaten candy afterwards.
It's simple music with simple lyrics performed by simple people.
But having fun while doing it.
Yeah, and doesn't that really kind of count for something?
No.
What if the easy chords here are what made you start playing guitar, and then you actually turned out, you got into it, and you wound up being okay, or you stayed with it, or you got better, you learned better music or something from it.
Well, having fun, I think, is vital to making great music or good music.
Yeah.
But I don't think that can be the motivation behind it.
Such an aggravation.
If you're playing music just to have fun, like, oh, I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna get laid, and I'm gonna do some drugs, I'm gonna live the rock star life, I think generally speaking your music's shit. That's what I think. Now, if you're making music because you love to play music, you love to make music, the art of music is your driving force, that's what makes a band take that next step to that longevity and quality and and what you love about it.
You got to make music you like.
Yeah. Well, and they maybe like this music.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of idiots, though, for liking it.
Well, what if you're playing stupid music that the masses like and your heart's not really in it? You just want to maybe get laid, but then you donate all your money to charity.
Quit and make some music that you want to make.
Then it's just a job at that point, a well-meaning job. If you're just doing it and don't...
Yeah, supporting a whole nursing home full of Holocaust victims really would be just a job.
Well, it is. I mean, it's a good job.
How many of those places are left? You're probably only supporting one person.
No, they're all in one, but the families receive benefits still. It's like reparations.
It still exists? There are people still... There's still Holocaust victims?
I'm just being facetious.
Oh, okay.
There's gotta still be at
there
least
must be,
a handful.
wow, they were probably like newborns when it happened.
Doesn't make them any less Holocaust victims. Who knows what their lives would have been like if they hadn't
There's
been
probably
forced
some
out.
that were 10 years old.
Maybe they're just
20,
like 110 now.
I'm kind of downplaying it a little bit. Yeah, they wouldn't be that old, a lot of them, if they were children. That's terrible.
How? Yeah.
Yeah, it's how you move past it. It's how you move past it. It's what you do with your life after the fact.
Well, it's funny you should say move past it. I've noticed a trend with people taking selfies in historical places, and now you can't go to the historical places anymore. Like, you can't go in certain alcoves of monasteries because people are going in there and they're falling to their deaths or they're knocking over important shit.
Because they're taking selfies.
Yeah, because they're not paying attention, and I think it's an interesting dilemma. Do you, like, if you have to do it and you break something, like you break a marble statue or something, how can you be held responsible for it? Like, are they going to put you in jail for ruining a historical artifact?
For defacing
Are you going to have to pay back some sort of restitution?
Some
what could you possibly do?
Some people do, actually. They've had to pay because they defaced a monument, either willingly or accidentally, and they have to pay immense amounts of money to do it.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And if it's a kid, then the parents have to pay for it.
It became such a, no way is that a real thing.
That selfie is probably worth it, though. It's probably fantastic.
52 likes, 3 ha-has, and 4 loves.
Yeah, that's nothing to sneeze at.
I want to jump in a lake, the sun coming out on a beach in the summer.
So what makes Gob better than Sum 41?
Nothing. They're worse, actually.
Oh my
and
God,
that's just
really?
Those are
oh my
Gob
God.
lyrics?
Well, actually, maybe not, because I believe that Gob is, that those guys are that ridiculous in the first place, that they would Sum 41 didn't even make Jump in a Lake, right? Or whatever the name of that song is. Sum 41 didn't stoop to that. Even. Come on. Gob is terrible. Much worse.
I feel like there's nothing wrong. Well, I guess that we could sit here and like needle what people may or may not have been thinking when they made their music, but I mean, say you're in a band and you only want to like jam or do stuff when you're really, really happy. So all your music is really happy because you make your music to like reflect when you were positive and stuff.
Right.
Couldn't, like, if it winds up coming out like bubblegum punkish, that's not something to hold against someone.
That's kind of what it is.
I don't know why I'm defending these people. I feel like I wanted to hate it so bad.
Who are their influences?
I think they were trying their best because their influences were clearly...
No, I can get behind that.
Like, their influences were rock bands. Like, they said it right in Fat Lip, like Maiden and Priest.
Which I do not...
Right.
I can't support that just because...
I guess it doesn't really show in their music at all.
It doesn't, but I mean, if it's the principle or something else, maybe?
Well, and a lot of bands don't. I mean, if you listen to Dave Grohl, for example, he cites all these like 80s and 70s kind of underground metal bands as his influences.
Yeah.
A lot of his influences. But Foo Fighters doesn't have a lick of that in it.
No, but Dave Grohl especially, he does so much stuff. Like, he guests all over the place.
Yeah, and he does side projects like Probot and stuff like that, and he worked with Queens of the Stone Age. I mean, Grohl's a different breed. I mean, to compare Grohl to Sum 41 is like...
Why would you do that, though?
You wouldn't. You wouldn't.
You absolutely
all I meant to say was that influences don't necessarily reflect the type of music that they're making. But I think that that's also telling, because I think in Dave Grohl's case, Probot was a passion project for him.
Was that the heavy metal one?
Yeah, and he had like Max Cavalera and Lenny and all these guys, and that's a great album. And I think in certain Foo albums, you can see those influences a little more strongly. But I think by and large, Foo Fighters is Dave Grohl's fun project that makes him a lot of money. I don't think it's the music that he's passionate about, not remotely. I think it's a cash cow.
Maybe
he likes playing with those dudes. It's true.
I feel like his first album was arguably the Foo Fighters' best album, and that was like the music that he loved and that he liked, and maybe it became that.
It's closer. Yeah. And that was fun music, right? But what's that one? Learn to fly. Learn to fly. It's too much for me. It's
radio. It's really radio.
Yeah,
but the video's hilarious.
My Hero is a good song.
Everlong?
Everlong is one of the best songs probably ever as a standalone song, and the music video that goes with it is probably one of the best music videos ever. Yeah, it's absolutely A+. But I mean, that's kind of my point. Whereas Sum 41, it just feels like that's all the music they did. That's it. That's all they did. I don't see any. And again, maybe I have to listen to their other albums, but I don't see any of that. Like, they're just fucking around. They're just fucking around, and they made a lot of money doing it, and good for them. But they're just fucking around, and they've been doing it ever since.
Yeah.
And the length of time between their albums and the fact that they're touring constantly indicates to me that that's all they want to do is just fuck around. And that's fine. That's what they want to do.
It
just doesn't produce good music.
Right?
It's definitely just fucking around. They're like using an air compressor to shoot air in their mouths. Like they're just screwing around.
I really think it's a frat album.
Yeah.
It makes me think like they took a gap year and then this happened and then nobody went back to school. This could be a National Lampoon movie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I want to give him a break so bad. I did not like this album. It just made me feel weird.
Yeah.
Some people just
nostalgic.
like to defend other people's crap.
That never happens.
No?
Just naturally want to defend them.
No, I think I'm trying hard to not just be like, this sucked.
You're trying to find like a shining light within this.
I'm working.
Yeah.
I mean, it's catchy poppy stuff.
Yeah.
The hooky riffs are really,
they work.
Really hooky and kind of fun a little. I found myself bobbing. Yeah,
Makes no difference to me.
I didn't like how one of the things on my first pass when I was just absentmindedly ingesting it, one of the things that made me go, oh, really? Was like Amanda Bunkhead.
Yeah, like when you're reading the song names?
No, the sound. Like I just had it on in the background and like near the end it kind of gets a little bit heavier, I guess. And I don't even know if that's a lead in to the short song that I did think was heavy because it was just so similar that I have a hard time remembering which song had what title, but I remember the things that stood out as different, and it was the last, I don't know, 20 seconds of fucking Amanda Bunkhead.
I did notice that there were a few points where they kind of wanted to get thrashy or punky, and then it would go into the chorus, and it's like bouncy.
No, I totally agreed. There was one when I listened to it several times, probably not as much as I should have to try and defend them the way that I am, but it felt like it could, this is like, all right, I'm ready to shoulder it. Oh,
yeah, and then it's like,
exactly.
I just decided to look up pictures of Derek Whibley because I saw a thing on the Wikipedia.
Oh yeah.
That made me think, wow, he was always kind of a short, ugly dude, but did he get uglier? Better? And so then I just Google imaged him, and he is looking rough. No wonder Avril Lavigne. I mean, it's not like she left him for an any more attractive man, but he's looking pretty rough.
Well, like you say, he never looked great to begin with, but wow.
Yeah, well.
Canadian music, this is what it'll do to you.
Yeah. Not once.
Not once. You never bought the drugs, not once. Yeah. He's a pretty rough-looking guy.
You know who else is pretty rough-looking? Ben Foster.
What are you talking about?
It was like watching Screech's blonde brother.
It's kind of weird.
What?
Hey, he's got that like bad guy look to him that I think. Maybe it's just because every movie I see him in, he's the bad guy.
Is he really?
No.
I feel like, to me, when I see his face, I'm like, oh, he's going to be the bad guy. No, not a bad guy.
Just kind of the
Yeah, just like that
Don't
guy
you even
who's
allude
going
to the fact that he's a bad actor, because he's not.
No, he's a good actor.
Oh, okay.
I like Ben Foster's work.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's highly underrated.
But his face is just like, oh, he's going to do something shifty. Yeah.
Well, in response to Mitch's, he's always the bad guy. If he was the bad guy in Alpha Dog, and he was a bad fucking guy in that movie. He was the bad guy in 3:10 to Yuma.
Yep.
And I think those are the roles that people most remember him for. But prior to that, he was a young, sweet guy, and now he's a artistic fella.
Really?
Oh, he does a lot of like artsy indie movies. Yeah. He's really choosy about his roles.
Was this one of them? Because he probably should have passed it.
Why? Okay, explain to me why.
I had a hard time getting into this movie because I don't know if I was missing something deeper that was or was not there.
Or trying to be there.
Yeah. I just felt like it was... The people who made it, were trying to please everyone. They put a bunch of different inspirations in a hat and just worked through it. I felt like, all right, is it Alien? Is it some sort of
Road Warrior?
Yeah, because they're kind of
that.
You're not supposed to know. That's why it's so good.
I think the ending was good because I didn't see that coming, which was a really great twist on what I thought was just becoming another mishmash movie. Yeah,
But
it was.
You didn't see any of it coming.
No, I didn't.
The point, right? Because you didn't know. You didn't know what they were. Nobody knew. And come on,
What they ultimately turned out to be was moot because it's still a bottle episode. They're still trying to run away. They still have space madness. They are still trying to convince someone to trust, even though they don't, because he's going to, turn on them, which he did. There's a psycho crazy guy that I knew from the start that there was going to be some sort of Fight Club thing.
You can reduce that to absolutely any film.
It felt like
they
tropes.
all fit a structure.
Yeah, I guess I just thought it was a little too heavy-handed.
Like
the atmosphere was fantastic in the movie. Like, I did really like how it starts off and it just throws you in there and you're like, what is going on?
Super claustrophobic.
And you're like claustrophobic and you're like, oh man, I'm totally with this guy.
It's tense the whole time.
I found it kind of just like every scene has like a 3-watt bulb like hanging from it like the entire time. And like there's like a flickery light and the spaceship is always so creepy, but then it jumps into like a scene where the Road Warrior aliens are like fighting them all of a sudden.
The Road Warrior aliens.
That's a great way to describe it, though. I mean, their outfits and their faces and their...
It is. I've never thought about that.
Or I guess there are people
the way they move is freaky.
I've seen
it was based, the concept art, I think, was all done by Geiger, which they pulled off in the film very, very well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it makes sense for him to do a lot of aliens, because he did Alien, too.
Yeah, which I did get from this quite a bit as well.
Very much. And maybe it's just because, like, Alien has become the pinnacle archetype for that idea, so there isn't wiggle room. Oh, monster on a spaceship? Alien.
Oh, maybe it wasn't Geiger. Maybe I just felt it was like Geiger. It's not Geiger.
That's good, though. I mean, it's interesting how that evoked a positive memory from you, and we were like, oh, it's just trying to be Alien. Well, this really...
I didn't get that at
Oh,
all.
well...
There's never mobs of aliens, right? Like, even in Aliens, there's not... come on, the scenes, the imagery is phenomenal. When he gets out at the very beginning of the movie, his confusion when he gets out, there's nothing going on, and he's peeling that stuff off of his body.
That was messed up.
The director, I think, did an absolutely phenomenal job, or the cinematographer, or them combined, or I don't know who did what. Just the way, as an example, without you looking at it, it's hard to explain, but just the way that they pose Ben Foster's body, or he poses his body as he's peeling off that layer of stuff, that alone is creepy.
Yeah.
The imagery when...
Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, what's Dennis Quaid's actual name? I can't remember.
That is his name.
His character?
The character's actual name, the young version of himself.
Oh, yeah.
Not Peyton.
What's his real name?
That's the fake name.
Cooper?
Cooper.
No, yeah.
Cooper?
No, I don't remember that.
Anyways, when he's
Cooper
pulling...
died.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
No, he didn't. Because he is Dennis Quaid.
Right, the person was the same. Like, you find out that it was just a younger version of himself.
He is Cooper.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that he was the same person because that was pretty clear, but I thought that there was a skeleton wearing a Cooper outfit.
That's maybe where I got the name from.
Oh, Cooper's the wrong name then, obviously. Anyways.
Gallo,
that's right.
There it is.
When he pulls Gallo out of the tubes, when he hears him knocking around and his hand comes out and he pulls him out, it's like he's birthing him out of the ship.
The tubes, right?
Yeah, the imagery, I think, of the film is phenomenal, and that's why I get a little confused when you're like, oh, a 3-watt, light bulb always hanging, because I feel like when it's illuminated by the glow stick, it feels like it's illuminated by the glow stick. When he can't see in the dark what that figure is hanging from the rafters, it's tense.
Yeah.
You feel the movie, and that's what I love about it. The imagery, the cinematography, the way that it's shot is so well done that you feel the movie and you never really know what's going on.
I love that you say you feel it, because I read that this is one of the few movies that got released in the shaky theater, like where they've got buzzers in the seats and stuff, so that you really feel and experience the movie. I wondered, to hear you talk about it so passionately, it makes me wonder if maybe I should have watched it, taken in what I perceived to be cliches, and then gone back and looked for foreshadowing, because I do that all the time with things I like.
Well, and that's the thing about the film is you're 100% right. If you go back and you watch it, Pandorum it was meant to have a prequel and a sequel if it did well.
That.
I heard that.
The company that distributed it went bankrupt very shortly after the film was released. It had no advertising budget.
Yep.
So it just really
disappeared.
Yeah, it didn't do well because of that. Didn't make back its budget. But I've watched the movie numerous times, and every time I watch it, I still feel tense. I still feel like it's new. I know what the ending is, but I still am it still is surprising to me. And you notice that more and more, the little details, because they're all over that film.
Of course.
And the movie's garnered quite a cult following.
Yeah.
There's, petitions to have the sequel made, and people want the director's cut to come out, and none of that will ever happen. No. It's not like Firefly or something where
people are still waiting for more. Well, some of my favorite movies are the same way. They're niche movies. They didn't necessarily maybe intend for that to happen, but they turned into niche movies. Yeah. And the people who like them, like Sum 41, are always going to like them for what they are.
Mm-hmm. In some situations, it's justified.
There was a few, I did really like the atmosphere of the movie, but there was a few plot holes, I think, that were quite glaring to me.
Okay.
Mostly in the way that how has the spaceship been for 900 years not realized that it itself, which was smart enough to land on the planet, been oh, we're here, everyone wake up, or notify people, or put it on a screen like a GPS map, hey guys, we're here.
Because of Gallo.
But even him, he woke up and he started it all, I guess, with the people turning into messed up aliens.
When they tell that story with the guy
which I found to be one of the most articulated parts. That guy was one of the clearest things.
The black guy?
The black guy, yeah.
The kitchen, the cook.
Yeah, the cannibal.
Yeah.
That narrows it down.
Now he...
Oh, yeah. There were many of those.
He explains how all that went down, and so Gallo basically played king.
Right.
Because he had control of the ship.
So he prevented it from, even once it's arrived, he's no, I'm cool down here at the bottom of the ocean.
You're still the king of your own cage that way.
No, because it said he put himself back to sleep.
They would have been still in outer space when he went to sleep.
Because it did. He said himself that the ship landed itself while he was asleep.
There's no operators. There's all kinds of fail safes that they put in the ship. But that was one thing that did kind of bug me, was that there weren't a lot of fail safes.
Right.
I would agree with you on that. But he would have had the capacity, and he did obviously turn off all of the automatic, because they change shift all the time, right? Mm-hmm. When he explains, when they say, oh, well, we've been asleep, they think they've been asleep for 8 years because they're they're crew 5, right?
Right.
Well, the shifts obviously only change when they're done manually. It's not forced. Those people don't automatically wake up, and then the other guys go back into their bunks. So it had to have been manually done. Remember, he says that he stayed awake when he wasn't supposed to.
Right.
So he basically took control that way. He was nuts. Nut job.
He had Pandorum.
And he knew how to do it. He knew the ship, right?
How do they turn into the white monsters again?
They got injected or something with some evolution serum to make them more adapted to the planet.
Oh, okay.
But instead
it was something that they got when they were in stasis, right?
Yeah, it was like a fluid that sped up the evolutionary genes so that by the time they got to Tanis,
they would be adapted.
They'd be able to adapt to the environment more quickly.
That sounds so much.
They adapted to the ship instead of the planet.
Yeah, I remember that part, and I was like, what? Because so much of it just went.
Well, that's why it happened in 1,000 years.
Of course. No, it makes perfect sense, and I think that I can't stop thinking of Firefly now.
Were there other plot holes? Because I don't.
Holes?
Yeah, you said there were a couple of glaring plot holes.
There were a couple of potholes along the way.
You might need a couple of potholes to watch it again.
Well, why did I'm trying to think now. How come some of them didn't turn into monsters? Is it just because they're not far enough along, like the woman and the black guy and stuff? Like they just haven't been awake.
Up after.
Like the other ones have been awake for 900 years.
Yeah, remember when in the one scene where that guy's pod just all of a sudden opens, right?
Yeah.
It's basically a malfunction, the same way Bauer's pod activated.
Oh, yeah, that was gross, where they, attack the guy. He's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and they just, slice his belly open and start eating him. Yeah. Imagine waking up that way.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's horrifying.
No. It was.
Right? Like the little kid one?
Not a surprise. I think I watched too many horror movies.
Creepy as shit, though.
Yeah, I'm
the way that it moves and,
I watched way too many horror movies.
Then it kills the Filipino guy.
Yeah.
Never stop. Well, that's the thing, right? Especially since he had gone to kill her first.
Filipino or South American?
And then the French girl was like, don't. And then that little bitch killed him.
Yeah.
He did. You can't trust those little...
boy or a girl?
It was a girl. She was wearing a two-piece.
Aww.
Oh, I see. That's how they signify.
That's what society would dictate.
Yeah, I think that some of the pods were just randomly opening, and that's why they said we got to get out of here, because that was basically their feeding grounds. When one opened, they'd eat them up.
And why was the reactor just failing at that moment?
Well, that was luck.
That was just rando, that it was within 3 seconds that he got to the reactor after 900 years.
Yeah, every movie has tension like that. I mean, come on, it's we got to disarm this bomb, and they never disarm it till 0.02 seconds are left, right? Yeah. I mean, how are you going to avoid that if he got there and there was no tension when he got there? He's like, I got another couple days.
They want to make it tense. I get that.
He'd probably get eaten by the cook guy.
Yeah, I mean, come on, that imagery when he's down there with all them and they're all sleeping all weird and writhing on each other and they're breathing weird, and he wraps the human skin around his body to crawl through them to get up to the reactor. Those are the details why I love that movie.
Oh, that's so weird. None of that made me bat an eye. I was just it all seemed to make perfect sense. Of course, that's what you would do given that situation.
It makes sense. It's just gross. It's just disgusting.
Oh, okay.
It elicits a reaction from me. Whereas you watch other horror movies like I like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Yep. They're just good classic horror movies, but those don't at all elicit.
They're not as tense. They're just kind of gory.
They're ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, he pulls his tendons out, uses them as a marionette. Okay, I mean, blood is one thing. Certain situations are horrific, and I found this more horrific. I find the Alien movies more horrific than I do a typical horror film.
Because of that extra. Well, maybe it's the space part. You just listed 2 Alien movies.
I wish it would have more.
Creepy, man.
I wish it would have stayed more like Alien, to be honest. How they kind of switched into did you ever see the movie The Descent?
I was just going to talk about The Descent.
That movie sucks balls.
But I got that same.
You like The Descent, but you don't like Pandorum?
I did not like it because it did strike that genuine terror in me.
The Descent?
Yes.
Why?
It had that kind of creepy
claustrophobia
feeling. Yeah.
And there's 2 endings as well. There's the one where she does float out the river, wake up and get away. And then there's one where she wakes up in the river, or she's floating in the river and she thinks she gets away, but then she wakes up again and she's still in the cave.
You know what the best part of The Descent is?
The end?
The Descent 2. Because it's the most retarded movie.
What?
It's so stupid.
I didn't know there was a second one.
The sequel?
Oh, number 2.
I didn't.
Was it number 2?
It was number 2. It was number 2, and then I did a number 1 on it.
Oh, jeez.
But yes, I wished that Pandorum would have kind of kept that initial feel, like the first 30 minutes of it, where it's just so creepy and you don't know what's going on, and like there's whispers of these aliens kind of through the vents and stuff, and how the movie Alien, when it came out, there was very little footage of the actual alien itself. It would just
like Jaws?
it just made.
But then you would have just thought it was an Alien ripoff.
Well, I
already did.
But it's not that. If it was that, then you would have had just more
single
alien tension. Think of another movie that has that same concept.
Of aliens loose in a ship? Or
they're not aliens.
That's true.
Oh yeah,
they're not aliens.
People. Yeah,
they're whether you want to say they're evolved or devolved human beings. No, Firefly doesn't have it either.
Reavers,
yeah, they're just insane people.
But they got injected with something. They ingested the calmer from the atmosphere, and they were the percent that reacted negatively. Everybody got super laid back and just fell asleep. The Reavers went extra aggressive. So it is not the same, because in Pandorum, everybody who got the evolution serum went batshit. But in Firefly, it was only like 10% that went super ass batshit.
Yeah. That should be the people to blame in this movie, Pandorum. Whoever made this wacky evolution serum.
But the serum did its job, and it would have done its job fine if they'd landed on Tanis. The only reason why they
cabin
evolved
fever?
that way. No, not even cabin fever. It's because Gallo locked them up in the ship.
But I thought that was why it was called Pandorum. Like they just went so crazy.
No,
and then
Gallo went crazy.
No, I know.
Gallo had Pandorum.
I stand by cabin fever.
The monsters did not.
If they just went crazy because they were locked in a room for 900 years.
Need to watch the movie again.
I don't want to.
Gallo locked them up.
Yes.
As human beings
we get that.
In there for.
And then and
then he went to sleep. They had the injections from when they were in the pods getting ready for Tanis. Because they couldn't go back in the pods, they lived in there and they
went crazy.
No, they
evolved to the ship. They
evolved into that. They didn't go crazy. They're an evolved humanoid. They're not human anymore. They're an evolved humanoid. They're not just nuts people.
But you don't think that Pandorum played a part in that as well? Because they're trapped in there and they're going crazy and they're evolving to eat each other.
Are they going crazy? You don't know what happened in the 1,000 years that they were locked away in the ship. They had an evolution serum in them, and they were eating humans to survive.
Right.
And they were breeding and
they had mad cow disease.
They basically evolved.
That's what mad cow disease is.
They evolved to survive on the ship and lived on that serum, and that's what they evolved into, because that's what was best suited to surviving on the ship.
Interesting.
And they're cannibals.
I feel like they should have evolved into mechanics or something more suited to
strong men to break down the door, smarter people to think about what they could have been doing.
I was kind of annoyed by that, where when Bauer goes, come on, a little solidarity here will get us a lot farther.
And the garbage
And I thought the whole time the people who have been waking up have been surviving solo. But don't you think they would have been more effective fighting them or something if, 10 of them got together?
Of the non-turned humans?
Yeah. Every time someone woke up, if they just banded together.
Right.
Well, that makes it sound like they stand a chance, because if the turned are just waiting in the rooms with all the pods, waiting for people to come out, I think that the horde would stand a better chance at eating the new recruit than the recruit would stand at being recruited. I also couldn't shake that this was just a vampire movie in space either.
For sure, but they must have come across each other.
Well, obviously the French girl.
Movie?
Cannibalism. The idea of being totally isolated because you're out in space.
Vampires turn other people into vampires.
That's not a part of it in my vision. That's inconsequential.
Vampires?
Yeah, the transference of a disease is inconsequential
So
when
is
it
a
comes
zombie
to
a vampire because a zombie eats people?
vampiric, maybe. I guess that the base
Not
they're both
everything's a
cannibals.
vampire just because they
Eat
are
things?
humanoid and attack humanoids.
Something just did. The way that they nest together, the way that they were all white
I Am
and
Legend,
spilly.
like where they're like, you know, that movie where they kind of are vampires, I guess.
In the strain, it's the same way. They look the same. I think I've just seen too many white monsters.
White, bald, creepy-looking
Yeah.
monsters, and they're just automatically vampires now.
I guess so. The same way anything that's a spaceship with monsters is aliens.
Yeah, that's true too.
I think you're making leaps there. I think you're
Probably.
making leaps there.
Well, you know.
It is what it is, I guess. I like that there was no soundtrack, really, just some, you know.
That was
what
kind of
the
cool.
was really good.
Yeah.
Stings.
Yeah.
Pings.
Yep, some noises here. and there.
It was kind of critically panned too, though. Like the movie, I was surprised at that after hearing all your love for it.
Because I think that,
They didn't get it?
yeah. I think that people who just watch it once and go, oh, I didn't quite get it, or kind of try to oversimplify it, because it's not a simple film in any way. It's not a simple film. You oversimplify it, or you just go, I didn't get it, so it was dumb. You're never going to get the depth of it, and that's what makes it so good.
When I started looking at all of the dates and the times and stuff, and looking at the timeline, and I really just felt like I wasn't quite getting it. I just never felt like I clicked with this movie. So maybe it needs a second chance, not like the album.
That album needs at least 8 more listens.
8? Well, that's fine. I can do that before I go to bed tonight. It's so short.
It is pretty short.
But that's not, Go for a run. You're done.
Yeah.
It would be good to keep your heart rate up, I guess. And you wouldn't be running too long because it's only 32 minutes.
I mean, this movie basically got its legs because Paul W.S. Anderson said, let's do this, let's get this movie made. But I would say it's Paul W.S. Anderson's one of his best projects. I mean, when you look at his...
Didn't he do Resident Evil?
Yeah, he did like Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil movies.
And those seem more caricature-y.
Death Race I like. He did Event Horizon, which is considered
That's a good one.
masterpiece sci-fi film. It's so good. So I would say it's one of his better choices personally, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. If you don't like it, you're wrong. And that's what it comes down to.
Well, I guess you either like milk or not dairy then. You either have to have creamy coffee without dairy or you have milk.
Oh, no.
I drink my coffee black, so...
I do sometimes.
You like your coffee black?
Yep. I like it black.
Yeah, me too.
I like to taste
Gob
coffee.
covered painted black,
Gob covered painted black?
didn't they?
I don't
I think
know.
isn't that like the most covered song?
I've heard a lot of bands cover painted black.
Why wouldn't you?
Paint it black.
Paint it.
Paint it?
Paint it. When I say it really bad like that, it sounds like I'm saying peanut in the southern accent. Paint it.
Paint it.
Right?
Probably because it's so weird.
Yeah.
Weird and angular.
But that's
really.
a good thing. It is weird.
That's what Lovecraft did, though. I tried explaining Lovecraft to my mom, and it's not necessarily horror. It's not always aliens. It's not monsters. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Fear of the unknown? Like, just makes you feel uneasy almost?
Yeah, the uneasiness is definitely apt. It's just it invokes a feeling in you that you can't quite put your finger on, but you don't like.
But isn't that the better kind of horror? Because
of course,
it's almost like our current horror films are so familiar now that they're not horror anymore. It's not horrific
Like
anymore.
Slasher, torture porn, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
like there's a time when people were watching, Nosferatu.
That still scares me. The vision
Because it's
of him
freaky.
doing that is just.
It's because it's totally freaky, and that's the thing, is it makes you uncomfortable, and that's more horrific, I think, than a familiar kind of horror character. Nosferatu freaks you out.
Even like Psycho, where Bates
Yeah.
or whatever, like that was a pretty creepy character even for the older movies, and that image of like the knife and the
Yeah, that's iconic now for sure. I think it's Ash versus the Evil Dead TV series. They have a demon on that.
Seen that yet? I want to see it so bad.
That's on my to watch list.
Well, there's a demon. I don't remember how he comes about, but when you perceive him, he's like shaking from side to side, but the way that like tracking on a video is, so it's a monster shape and aesthetic that's not too unfamiliar to me, at least. Like, I watch a lot of monster effects TV shows. I watch a lot of horror movies, and that's why I think maybe I was a bit dull to Pandorum, because all of those spots were already hit for me in my regular viewing, that it was just, oh, okay, I know that spectrum. This is your wheelhouse. If anything, maybe it worked against it because it wasn't fresh for me. But that was new in regards to everything being, seen before. I really don't know what I started in, but the vision of that monster was so vibrant in my mind and so pertinent, because it did just, the way that he was perceived or presented, I should say, that was so different. I've never seen anything, not necessarily be translucent like a ghost and not necessarily be solid like a person. It wasn't necessarily a hologram, but kind of, but like the shaking was just very interesting to watch.
Found kind of a new way to present that to you, and that's kind of interesting.
It did. It hit a new note that made me take interest, other than just Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell.
That's enough right there. Yeah.
I think I like the creepy, and I think that's what I found.
Oh, Nosferatu, that's what it was, because the different presentation. Back in the 30s, that was different.
And it's still creepy.
It is. It's creepy. It's ghastly.
Because people don't, because of the black and white too, I think.
That makes it extra
If it was color,
sharp.
it wouldn't have been remotely as...
That was 1922.
22? I thought it was 32.
That's crazy.
I think that it also took inspiration from Varney the Vampire, and I'm pretty sure that was just like a novella. Varney the Vampire. Varney was popular before Dracula was, and I know that Nosferatu, the movie from the 20s, is where the idea of sunlight killing a vampire came from, because it's not in Dracula.
Oh,
right. Well, and I mean, Dracula's inspired by an actual guy.
A book about a guy, isn't it?
No, an actual guy.
Vlad the Impaler.
Oh,
I got such mixed feelings on that.
Is that true, or is that just a story that's come about over the years?
Well, let's see. I think
because he was a
Romanian prince, like Vlad
of Transylvania.
Yeah, well, now Transylvania, but it was all during like the. Well, I guess it would have still been the area.
It was a province. So,
and he got
Romania at the time. I think, if my history's correct, Romania at the time was 3 provinces, which I think were
around the mountains.
Yeah, one of them was Transylvania, and then basically they united eventually
against the Ottomans
and became Romania. Became Romania the nation. And there was, there were leaders that united them and that kind of thing. It's kind of like, how did Great Britain come about? Well, it was a bunch of, it was Wales, and it was all these places that
like
were
nation states?
Kind of nation states. They had their own kind of leaders and their own castles and their own this, that, and the other thing. And it wasn't until they had a unifying ruler against a common enemy that they became one people group. And even then, there's still sort of distinct cultures. Like, it's interesting, in Great Britain, how they're still distinctly different
countries.
Which, interestingly, I find happening in North America the opposite direction. Canada is united as a nation, but I find that as time goes, the provinces and their ideas and their ideals and their values are becoming more and more separated. They're not becoming unified. They disagree with each other. The Atlantic coast disagrees with Ontario. Ontario disagrees with Quebec. Everyone disagrees with Quebec. Alberta and the West.
Jeez.
Everybody's a little bit different, and they're becoming more different, and they're becoming more regionalistic. You see that in the U.S. with the South and the West Coast and the Northeast, and and all of that. So I think it's kind of going the other direction in North America, where it's kind of becoming more regionalistic and starting to disintegrate as a nation as a whole. It's getting harder to keep that together.
I wonder if it has anything to do with the geography they take up. Because, I mean, you can go almost anywhere in Europe in a day in a train, and you can not even clear a single province in Ontario sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Space, it gives you, the elbow room gives you kind of a bit more, smugness isn't the right word, but space, and that makes you want to be more individual.
Yep.
And that, you know, spurs on you not wanting to have be influenced by someone who's not, you know, next to you in their own space.
Well, and in Europe, you had all of this time, this vast amount of time.
That's the thing, too, right? The West is still new.
You couldn't travel quickly between places, you know, so Spain and Portugal are right next to each other. They have different languages and different cultures. Even though they're long-standing friends, they're right there, but they still were able to develop separately. Whereas North America hasn't had enough time to develop those regional identities, and we're starting to see that more and more as time goes. And you're seeing different dialects and language changing in certain areas.
Newfoundland.
And whatever else. No, you see it everywhere. Albertans have different accents than Ontarians, and
the accents. For sure, bud.
For sure, bud. Anyways, I don't know how we got there, but
you know what made me angriest about that movie?
What?
You know how we came to Earth on spaceships, obviously, but why did he get a cool shaver that was a laser beam?
The laser shaver?
And we don't have that. Like, I want one real bad.
Because it's a fabrication. It's not real. It's not possible.
Can we make one?
I feel like we could.
We used friggin' gasoline to fly to Earth. Because guess what? There's no better source of energy than fossil fuels.
No.
We know this.
Not even bunny snuggles?
No. That engine barely produces enough power.
Too bad.
And it's probably because, what? You can't put a person in the engine, and a machine can't snuggle a bunny well enough to get enough energy out of it.
I don't know. I can snuggle a bunny pretty hard.
I know, right?
Maybe
it's like
You can, but what are we going to do? Put you in an engine forever?
Then what would we do with line 3?
Oh, man. You guys need me.
Anyways, vanilla.
Yeah.
Specifically
coffee creamer, non-dairy.
Coffee
So
mate
weird. Like, why not
brand.
just put
Coffee mate
vanilla
brand,
beans in a cup of half and half?
Ooh.
People like their creamer. I don't get it. Why don't you just want to taste coffee?
That's not cream, though. That stuff is
It's
like
not.
It
chemicals.
doesn't taste like cream.
It's let's take
It's
this
coffee
vanilla.
whitener.
Yeah.
It's vanilla flavored
Whitener.
coffee whitener.
You know when you drink pop, that like diet pop, and it gives you that kind of chalky taste.
Yeah.
In your mouth?
No, because I only drink diet pop. I will never drink. Well, let me rephrase that. I only drink Diet Coke for cola. Like regular, any other pop, I don't really care. But I only drink Diet Coke. I won't go near Diet Pepsi, and fuck regular Coke and
Why?
Pepsi.
What about Diet Dr. Pepper?
It's
That's fine, I'll drink
the
regular Dr. Pepper.
aftertaste that you get from the artificial sweetener is so disgusting.
I feel differently. I feel like regular Coke is just gross and syrupy and overwhelming on my palate, whereas Diet Coke, it's a little bit like pencil shavings, but it's lighter and crisper.
Ooh, light
What's the
pencil
taste of
shavings.
pencil shavings?
I don't know, but I crave it sometimes. Like, I get nostalgic because I used to drink it with my mother. That's probably why. And we never had, like, my mom will drink diet, caffeine-free
Oh, that stuff was the
A&W root
worst.
beer.
Remember those diet caffeine-free? Like,
She likes it, though. It's
Oof.
like when you don't quite want water, but you want something,
Right.
it does the trick. You're just like,
No.
some days you just don't really want to eat, and you have a piece of fruit, even though you wouldn't normally. Some days you don't really want soda, so you're going to have a diet caffeine-free one because it's almost nothing.
No.
But it does, it kind of like, it's like if you had a picture that you wanted to color, but instead of like pushing hard and making it really colorful, you just kind of like ran your pencil crayon over the paint. That's what I think it's like. And that works for me.
Artificial sweetener screws things up. It makes them taste gross, and that's what I feel like with the creamer. It's artificial. You taste the artificialness of it. I don't want to eat plastic. I don't want to drink plastic.
I did notice it's designed to like mask bad coffee, I think is what I'm getting from that stuff. Like you get that like bad nasty coffee that most like office places with their like pots have, and people are like, I don't want to taste that crappy coffee. I just want to put this vanilla stuff in.
Do you have like a single serve?
I'm kind of a coffee nerd.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh.
But like when I'm making my coffee in my French press or my Chemex or my espresso machine, and
why are you not ever bringing us coffee? I'll make muffins if you bring coffee. I'll make fucking scones if you bring coffee.
Okay, I'm down for that.
Killer.
But when I put it in there, it just
Irish coffee.
Straight booze. Straight liquor.
I don't know. I don't want to geek out too hard on the coffee, but anyway, when I put it in there, all I taste is the vanilla chemical taste, and I mean, it's not bad. It's just vanilla.
Yeah.
Coffee Mate was introduced in 1961, which, by the way, is when everything artificial started becoming more and more popular.
Of course, because ladies were gone.
It's cheaper. It would last longer. An unopened bottle of Coffee Mate can last up to 2 years with no refrigeration. That's
refrigeration?
That's a problem. That's
the
not something you
powders
want
are
to eat.
flammable.
Oh yeah, those powders are dangerous.
Yeah. I wonder if they make vanilla powder.
Vanilla, they have to.
I would love some vanilla powder. I would put it all in like a frying pan, and I would just light that shit on fire in my backyard just to see, like, is it going to make vanilla smoke? Like when you pour cinnamon sugar on a burning element and it smells like you're making cookies?
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Sometimes.
It smells like burnt, smoky nastiness.
I used it in coffee. I used it to make pancakes.
Oh, wow.
Like I would put in, if a recipe calls for a cup of water, I'd put in maybe 2/3 water and half a cup of this vanilla creamer.
Did it make things taste like vanilla?
It did.
Yeah.
But whether or not it was because I wasn't having such a concentrated amount, like it was able to it felt like it was just a little bit more like a soft glove of vanilla as opposed to the pungent punch of vanilla that you got in the coffee, because I also got that. I was like, it's
like
just
coats your tongue.
It does. But I didn't think that was a bad thing for baking, because there's always so much sugar and fat and bullshit in baking anyway. That
delicious
What's
bullshit.
Wrong with sugar and fat?
Nothing.
Oh, it's good.
Gosh, I'm morally opposed to
artificial.
Not just artificial, but people like, it's got to be. Is that low fat? How many calories are in that?
Is this vegan, non-dairy?
Yeah, it was
organic.
Non-dairy.
No.
I think
I'm really hungry.
I just want to eat fucking food, and I want to eat food that's good, and I want to eat food that's tastes like it's supposed to taste, and that means natural ingredients like sugar and
I think real
milk
would be a good way to put there.
What's that?
Real
ingredients. I mean, I drink homogenized milk. I don't drink skimmed milk.
Doesn't make it not real though, because it's just watery.
Yeah, they water it down. It's because you got a bunch of Fruit Loops who think I gotta watch my calories here and this, that, and the other thing. Just eat fucking less food and walk a little bit more. I've got a stomach on me. I'm not a slim fellow.
See, it's easier
for some people, because I'm not physically active.
It's easier for some people to drink the skim milk or to drink the lower fat options, and then they're not gonna get. It's gonna be easier for them.
Eat less.
But that's
why.
Yeah.
Eat less.
Why should I have to eat less if I like diet stuff just because you don't want to see it?
I guess, but don't
mandate
that's fine.
it.
Just
that's
don't mandate
different.
it.
There is an issue there. I think that's a separate issue.
You want to eat that stuff? Go for it. It makes no difference to me, but I don't want to. Specifically, don't want to. So I shouldn't say I'm morally opposed to it, because
You're morally opposed to mandates, I think, because you're definitely a libertarian.
No, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, for a good example is, when fast food places all of a sudden were like, oh, no animal fats. And then it was all
no animals at all? Wow.
No animal fats. We don't deep fry our French fries in animal fats. And then they were using, canola oil and shit. And then they were like, oh, wait a minute, this stuff causes cancer.
Oh, yeah.
No trans fats. I'm thinking, there's nothing wrong with animal fats, you idiots. Like, the problem is, everyone thinks they know all these things, right? The scientific community says this. And then 10 years later, the scientific community goes, well, I guess we were kind of wrong. And I just think, not in all cases, right? Obviously, some things we do know. But what we definitely know now is that animal fats promote brain health, and animal fats don't actually make you fatter. So you can literally ingest all the bacon you want, and as long as you live a normal lifestyle, you won't get any fatter. Animal fats do not make you fatter. What makes you fatter are the sugars that break down from like carbohydrates. So you eat a loaf of bread every day.
Okay,
you're
they're paleo guy over here.
No, it's true though. It's true though. It's true though.
Caveman diet and spinach and bacon. That's all you need.
Oh, I would love some spinach and bacon.
But it is backwards. I mean, they put when they show you that food pyramid when you're a kid.
I've heard that the food pyramid is not.
It's bullshit. No.
Yeah, like the issue is that
got it
people
wrong. Wasn't that a South Park? Oh no.
Oh really?
Sorry. Go ahead.
It's made by people who profit. It was
you hear the
by
conspiracy theories. Yeah. Oh, we got to sell crops, so make everyone eat bread and corn.
Right. Even though gluten is poison.
Yeah, but now corn's evil for you too, right? Corn destroys your body. Corn's evil. Well, whatever. Anything in excess is bad for you.
Anything to your body, and your body didn't do anything to it. That's why it looks the same.
It's the cellulose.
All I know is
the outside
cornbread
of it.
is fucking great.
Oh, cornbread's the best.
Yeah. So I get it when you're talking dog food, right, or cat food. You're like, I don't want the primary ingredient to be corn. That makes sense. Dogs and cats eat meat.
Yeah.
Right?
They're
I get it.
carnivores.
You don't want the main ingredient to be corn. And I don't want everything that I eat to have corn as the main ingredient either. But that's just excess of anything. You just don't want excess of anything.
And it all comes back down to have a balanced diet.
Have a balanced diet.
Thanks,
Drink
Bill Nye.
water.
Drink
That's Bill Nye.
naturally sweetened products. And
Get your corn
don't
in whiskey
drink
form.
coffee made.
Yeah.
Don't drink plastic coffee made.
I really want to put vanilla beans in like a mason jar of half and half now. Because I don't see how it could go bad.
Oh no, that would be good.
Because sometimes I like black coffee.
Wouldn't the half and half go bad?
I don't know if it could steep for long enough to get the vanilla flavor.
Yeah.
Well,
What
if
if
you've
I
seen
blended
vanilla beans, though, they're very moist.
Oh.
They're very moist. They
Yeah,
have lots of oils in them, so I don't think it would take
that's
that
true,
long
because
to
people
flavor
use
it.
them in baking and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
it's not like they're dried out.
What
or
am I
anything.
talking about?
'Cause you want the oil.
I
try it.
really
Give it a
want to
shot.
do that.
Yeah.
Because I like flavored things. I like flavored coffee.
Yeah.
Like I have made cinnamon syrup to put in coffee, so I don't need the sugar. I can just put a little bit of milk and this cinnamon sugar in it. Now, it doesn't turn out very well because it gets really slimy, and the cinnamon always stays at the bottom because it doesn't absorb into water.
Right.
But it's still good.
Do you take that last swig of the crunchy, juicy cinnamon bits?
Depends how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Cinnamon on vanilla ice cream. For mixed in cinnamon and vanilla. Have you ever done that?
Apple crisp.
So great.
Yes.
Cinnamon on vanilla ice cream.
I've got vanilla yogurt at home. I wonder if that would work.
I don't know.
Like little cups of vanilla Greek yogurt.
Maybe.
Oh, I love vanilla Greek yogurt.
I'm not a big fan of Greek yogurt.
And
I like
you're
how
wrong.
heavy it is.
Traditional yogurt.
Yeah, it's so thick. It's like sour cream, but like good flavored sour cream.
Maybe I should try it again. I think the last time I had Greek yogurt, it was plain yogurt.
Which is, that is...
I don't like normal yogurt that's plain.
Oh, that's...
Plain yogurt?
Why would you do... If you're going to do that, you better be cooking with it. You better be making tzatziki or putting it on baked potatoes with like chives and bacon and stuff.
See, I started to use plain Greek yogurt for those things, like putting it on tacos and like...
I think it just has a little extra...
Yeah.
It's like the Miracle Whip of sour cream.
Yeah.
It's got a little extra zing.
Yeah, it's good. I
I'm
like it.
starving right now.
Oh, man.
This is awful.
Miracle Whip is just whipped dressing.
Whipped dressing.
I never really got Miracle Whip versus mayonnaise, because those weren't really big things in my house. And even now, if I ever have to buy it, I buy a jar maybe once a year. And I always have to go, what do I maybe... And I get my husband to pick it out, because I don't... Avocados are my mayonnaise.
I think the primary difference is that mayonnaise has eggs as an ingredient.
Yeah.
Mayonnaise is literally just eggs and oil, like the basis of mayonnaise.
Right.
I would love to try and make my own mayonnaise, though. Martha Stewart has a recipe. That bitch can do everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was watching an episode of Cutthroat Kitchen, and they didn't have mayonnaise, so that all they did was took the egg whites and the oil, and they made their own.
Egg whites?
Or
really?
egg
yolks?
Yolks, that's it, not whites. Yeah.
Huh.
You gotta give companies credit, though, right? Like when Kraft makes Miracle Whip, they're like, you know what? We could do mayonnaise.
Nobody needs this. Let's make them think they do.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love advertising for that reason. You don't need this. Let us tell you why you have to have it.
Yeah.
That is marketing.
Marketing.
So sneaky.
Especially when you have the money behind you to market like that.
Yeah.
Because it's not that easy. If you're a startup company and you're like, we've created Miracle Whip, and you're not Kraft, you're just Miracle Whip, good luck.
Have fun with that.
But if you're Kraft and you're like, you know what, we need something to beat out this mayonnaise.
We need a jingle. We need some youths in
Miracle
cool,
Whip.
flashy sneakers.
Miracle Whip.
Oh, apparently Miracle...
It's so good. No. I don't know what that was.
Something
Apparently
better than
Miracle
that.
Whip was invented in 1933 as a less expensive alternative to mayonnaise.
Rations.
So basically, it was a cheaper option.
Oh.
Rations.
Mayonnaise is too expensive. We got to give something to the poor people.
Rations.
That's actually a good example of capitalism working, I think, is that they invented a product to reach more people who had less money, right?
Right.
You don't always invent a product because you're like, okay, everybody who has money, we want to sell. You know, you want to sell a product to everyone. So they invented a product to sell to poor people.
Right.
I wonder when it went from this is something that you can afford on a single budget versus this is a diet treat. Not
Right.
treat, option. Because I always assumed that Miracle Whip was just a diet mayonnaise. Why get mayonnaise light when you can have Miracle Whip
I don't
light? It's
think
got
that it's
even less things in it and more stuff that you think
I don't
you might
think it's
want.
really better for you than mayonnaise at all.
You can get like olive oil mayonnaise, which is, for the people who don't want
Regular
traditional mayonnaise.
I don't like
Olive
the
oil's
shade of
healthier
that
for you.
blue mayonnaise top. I
Yeah,
want
I
a
want the
different
green
one.
one.
You can always
olive green
buy
one.
green ketchup or
Which is funny because
I remember those.
people eat
Yeah.
the purple ketchup and they're like, it tastes different, but it actually doesn't.
No.
It's exactly the same. Red ketchup is only red because they put
the
dye into it. So what's the difference? Purple red tastes the same as purple
Sure,
dye
maybe if you
tastes the same
can't
as red
see
dye.
them, but when you see it, that's a whole different
Yeah,
thing.
it's-
Incredibly different. If McDonald's had pictures of what the burgers looked like when you got them versus what they look like on the thing, you'd probably think twice about having it. Maybe.
Purple Miracle Whip is all filler, no killer, and it's known to induce Pandorum.
That's very succinct.
Really?
Hologram program deactivated.